So Opus 4.7 came out, and there are several key benefits you should know about it. So the first key thing that Anthropic say that 4.7 is better at is long, complex agentic tasks. Now, long, complex agentic tasks did tend to fail before because they would loop indefinitely, they'd give up partway, they'd hallucinate the wrong information, and they'd sometimes fail on tool errors, and they'd agree with you just way too readily. Right. However, with 4.7, it gets over these loop failures much better. So before 4.6, when it's trying to complete the task, it's going to fail, but it's going to keep trying the same, thing again and again, without really kind of zooming out and seeing what it needs to do better, right? So you can see this example: edit test fail 1, edit test fail 2, edit test fail 3, loops forever, and it's kind of stuck in this endless loop of trying to fix the problem. Whereas with 4.7, it's going to fail twice. It's then going to step back and think, is this the right approach? And then it's going to think of a new strategy, do a real fix, and the test is going to pass correctly. Next is reducing hallucinations. So let's say you ask for a summary of Q4 revenue. What it's going to do is it's going to think, and it's going to say, okay, the user wants a Q4 revenue summary. So I'm going to look at the spreadsheet. It's going to read the spreadsheet, and it's going to see that the data is missing. So it's got Q1, Q2, and Q3, but it doesn't have data for Q4. So here it has a choice. Now, Opus 4.6 could fabricate a plausible Q4 by extrapolating data from Q1 to Q3. Now, obviously, the output would look correct. They'd be invented, but the user would have no way to tell. But 4.7 would recognize the gap that it doesn't have Q4 data. It would then think to itself, I should not invent it, and it would report this back. Next up, 4.7 has better vision for more detailed images, right? So 4.6 had a 1 megapixel view, but 4.7 is a 3.75 megapixel view. So it's going to have pixel level accuracy on dense screenshots. And you can see the improvement in the Expo visual acuity test here. So it goes from 54.5 to 98.5. And this is going to be much more useful for large screenshots of dashboards if you're inputting diagrams or charts and you want to extract information there. Next up, we've got another effort level. So if you're using it for code, you actually have obviously 3 different models to choose from. So you have Opus, Sonnet, and Haiku. So strong, medium, and cheap tokens, but fast. But obviously there's the effort levels as well, right? And they've added this new extra high effort level to go along with your max, high, medium, and low. And this dictates how much tokens you're willing to spend on the task. Next up, it has better design taste. So if it's creating slides, documents, and interfaces, Opus 4.7 is supposedly better at designing these. So the quote from Triple Whale is that the design taste is genuinely surprising, makes choices that actually ship. So hopefully the dashboards and data-rich interfaces are going to look better now in 4.7. Next up, 4.7 is also tighter at following instructions. So if you were to say always reply in 3 bullet points before, 4.6 would actually interpret this loosely, and it may use bullets when suitable, but sometimes it would switch to prose when it thought it is not suitable. Right. This obviously means that it kind of balances contradictions. It, feels smart, and it forgives bad prompts. And a lot of the time you get lucky with your bad prompting. But now with 4.7, it's going to take the prompt literally every time. It's going to do 3 bullets, even when prose would be better. It's going to punish vague prompts, and it's going to do exactly what you say. Right. So, as it says, 4.7 is substantially better at following instructions. And interestingly, this means that prompts written for earlier models can sometimes now produce unexpected results. So where previous models interpreted instructions loosely or skip parts entirely, 4.7 takes the instructions literally. And that's why it recommends also users should retune their prompts and harnesses accordingly. Next one is better real-world work. So 4.7 is going to be able to output better work, so presentations, models, analyses, these kinds of real-world work for you in improved versus 4.6. So as an example, if we were to analyze Q3 revenue, build the deck, draft the executive summary, 4.6 would give you a solid response, give you generic framing, but 4.7 is going to give you a rigorous response, rigorous analysis, opinionated, modeled. And the presentation is also going to be different. So it's going to be functional at 4.6, but it's going to need polishing, whereas the presentation should be ship ready with real design taste, as we highlighted before. And also the data is going to pull from each other. So the executive summary is not going to reference the deck in 4.6, but it is going to pull from the deck in 4.7. And you can see this kind of goes into the whole idea that the integrations are reinforcing each other in 4.7 rather than sitting in isolation in 4.6. So overall, it's just a much better output for real world work. And the next two things I wanted to highlight is first, better agentic memory. So Claude Code stores memory obviously in its own files, and it's going to get better. And if you're using Opus 4.7, it's going to get better at retrieving such memory and storing such memory to remember things between long multi-session work. Note that this does not refer to the Claude chat AI memory. This is really referring to Claude Code memory and also the API memory tool for developers. And finally, one little thing I want to highlight for developers is the ultrareview command. So there's a /ultrareview/ command that is useful for producing a dedicated review session. So this is useful for catching bugs a fast reviewer would miss, flagging design issues, and also doing, for example, pre-merge quality controls without a human reviewer. And that's it. So ultimately, with 4.7, the key benefits: longer running tasks run more reliably, vision is higher resolution, instructions are taken literally, and knowledge work outputs are better, and also better use, safer use of file-based memory across sessions. I hope this was useful.